People who, in many instances, have absolutely no clue what they are doing. The Marxists, the anarchists.
Welcome back, everyone. It's a solemn day here in the Inane Blather universe, episode 110. And you know what that means, Natalie?
Of course I do, but I'm waiting for you to say it. Just,
yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Of course I know.
Well, I don't know what it means either. All that it means is that I try to come up with something on the fly every single week to say, and sometimes, it's like when you're just kind of zooming up the stairs and your mind is racing and you just trip going up the stairs, which seems like it, I don't know why that happens to me more often than tripping falling down the stairs, but I'm glad it does.
You're probably
maybe I've
more
knocked
careful.
a few teeth out,
yeah.
but yeah, it's true, yeah, because falling down the stairs could be a little more destructive. At least at my fighting weight right now, to the stairs, or whatever wall is at the bottom of it.
I want to still be able to get into my apartment.
Yeah, crash right through an exterior wall, through the stucco. But anyway, that is kind of what I did in our intro here. But regardless, for everyone who didn't already turn off, and especially to you, that one listener right now, that right-wing guy that's going to my Twitter page and listening so that he could say that this show really sucks.
We have someone like that?
Oh, just constantly here and there. There's always someone.
Oh, babe, that's so incredibly flattering. Or also very sad that that's how you spend your life. That's so embarrassing. I don't even listen to this show, and I'm fucking on it.
Yeah. Well, the sad thing about that guy, this was the last thing he heard, and then
he died when baboons kidnapped and ate him.
But that's what happens if you listen to the show and you don't listen all the way to the end.
Humby
because
much? Yeah.
If it's not baboons, then it's just this ravenous gaggle of
headstrong, stubborn, quibbling, self-centered, vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerks.
So
ravenous gaggle. What a phrase. That actually reminds me. Yeah, you got it.
I had to keep going with the falling down the stairs metaphor before I could even come up with a single word more than 5 letters long.
Yeah. That's just ravenous gaggle, like gavinous raggle, like we're always doing that stuff, swapping the
Always
things.
doing that.
But, so that one that I can't get out of my head, and I kind of really like this candy a lot because it's nerds, and it's nerds with like a chewy thing in the middle, and they're gummy clusters. Nerds gummy clusters. And I can't stop thinking it in my head.
But what are glusters?
Cummy glusters. Or clummy gusters. But all of it,
gusters.
I just really am enjoying thinking that over and over and over again in my head. It's like a song. I can't stop.
The weather really kind of switched up here. I think we're getting clummy gusters.
Yeah.
Wind.
And this week in the weather, you can expect some cummy glusters.
Low pressure system followed by some cummy glusters and clummy gusters when the wind picks up. So make sure that if your garbage cans are out, they don't get knocked over.
Filled with cummy glust.
As far as I can go with that.
Because I don't watch the news.
Well, real news here. Joey Chestnut, Takeru Kobayashi showdown ends with a new hot dog eating record. So we had Joey Chestnut versus Kobayashi.
Fucking disgusting.
That is the match of the century. Long-standing beef has finally been squashed. There we go. That's how you start a podcast. As they said in the New York Post, Joey Chestnut beat him. He beat Kobayashi in a one-on-one hot dog eating contest Sunday at the HyperX Arena in Las Vegas. Chestnut consumed... How many hot dogs do you think he ate, Natalie?
In how long? Like 10 minutes? Like 2 days?
10 minutes, yep. 10 minutes.
I don't know. Probably like 200.
No.
No, I was gonna say like 90 or something like that.
His previous world record was 76.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago. He ate 83.
I was gonna guess 90, but
He beat Kobayashi 83 to 66. But imagine eating 83 fucking hot dogs.
I have to say,
Jesus
I think
Christ.
it is so fucking disgusting the way that they dip their bread in water. It's something that
Oh man,
really,
that's your favorite
really
thing.
cannot stand. I have a thing about it. If I were to keep thinking about this, I can already feel, this is one of my brags that I love to slip into things. It's like, I don't have a gag reflex, except for that when I, speaking of the Hawk Tuah girl earlier. Yeah, except for when there's water on bread, I seriously, God damn, it's so fucking gross. And they're like, oh, God. God.
Even thinking about it.
And if all
I
of those
remember
hot
my
dog
ex
buns with
fucking with you and just putting a piece of bread under the running sink and sending you a video of it. Right? Yeah, and she like slapped the wet bread on the counter.
It's like making my eyes water. Like, I'm so disgusted by that. It's really, I just don't know how people can hack it. But
what a great American quote. This is amazing, Chestnut said afterward. I've been trying to hit 80 hot dogs for years. Without Kobayashi, I was never able to do it. He drives me. We weren't always nice to each other, but I love the way we push each other to be our best. Yeah, be your best.
Yeah, eat all
Let's
the hot
see.
dogs.
Oh, they streamed it live on Netflix.
The matchup of the century, yeah, it's like, how long does hot dog eating contest go back? How long could they possibly, has it even been around 100 years?
Yeah, since the early 19th century out on Coney Island. No, I'm just kidding.
Where they're like,
oh, wow, this is just so funny. Like, God, hot dogs are just funny. I love hot dogs. I eat hot dogs all the time. Fun. But they're just funny. It's like, let's see, the last time they met was in the 2009 Nathan's hot dog eating contest when Chestnut beat Kobayashi after a 5-dog sudden death.
5-dog sudden death. We all know, we've all been there.
Wow, Chestnut versus Kobayashi. Yeah, let's see. Between the fierce rivals, largely considered the two best competitive eaters in the world, was 15 years in the making. Let's see. This matchup wasn't the famous event on Coney Island. That makes me wonder. How long has the Coney Island hot dog eating contest let's see. Wow, you can win 20 grand
just by shoving a bunch
that's how much Joey Chestnut is making, is 20 grand a year.
Yeah,
and just with this distended belly.
I couldn't do that for 20 grand. I couldn't even eat one wet bun.
No. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't have to wet them if you're not trying to win the contest. They do that so that it actually goes down, because imagine all that dry bread, eating it. It's impossible to win a contest like that.
But then you have to,
if it was,
imagine
a sliding down your throat, straight hot dogs,
wet
no buns.
Buns sliding down your gullet.
And then that night,
you're pooping the bed
because of all the hot dogs.
No, I wouldn't, because I'd be vomiting uncontrollably at the time that it happened.
Awesome. But let's see. The annual American Hot Dog Competitive Eating Competition, the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest on Coney Island, inaugurated July 4th, 1872.
Wow.
See, I told you. No, I'm just kidding. It's 1972.
That's really surprising that they would have a glut of hot dogs to eat as many as you could in 10 minutes.
Wow. The defending women's champion from this year is Miki Sudo, who ate 51 hot dogs. Good Lord.
Yeah.
They have quite a Wikipedia page on here for it. We've got rules, awards, history, results, media coverage, tactics, and training. Let's see what the history says. Coney Island is often linked with recreational activities of the summer season. Who the fuck is writing this?
Yeah, AI.
Let's see. Yeah, in the late 90s and early 2000s, the competition was dominated by Japanese contestants, particularly Kobayashi, who won 6 consecutive contests from 2001 to 2006. That's the only one that I remember that. It's not like you go seeking out competitive eating things, but you knew about
yourself.
Kobayashi.
Yeah.
It'd be like kind of a punchline for eating all this stuff. Yeah, I see that. I'm like Kobayashi. You know, it's talking about how you like to eat a bunch of pie or whatever it is. But then when Joey Chestnut took over and beat Kobayashi, he
was
beat
like,
the
"What?"
big time winner. It's like, what? This dude's name sounds made up.
Sounds like a food. He was like meant to eat food for a living. Chestnut.
Wow. In recent years, a considerable amount of pomp and circumstance have surrounded the days leading up to the event, which has become an annual spectacle of competitive entertainment. The event is presented on an extravagant stage, complete with colorful live announcers and an overall party atmosphere. The day before the contest is a public weigh-in with the mayor of New York City. Some competitors don flamboyant costumes and are makeup, and others may promote themselves with eating-related nicknames. I mean, that's all fun, too. I mean, it's just fun.
Sure, it definitely
But
is
like,
fun. It's
especially because
just
you've got to do that
disgusting.
because you're not going to beat those guys. Those actual competitive. It's like there's something wrong with them. Like,
How do you
it's crazy.
practice though?
Yeah, how do
Eating
you
hot
train?
dogs?
Like, that's crazy. What? Oh my! ESPN has long enjoyed solid ratings from its broadcast of the hot dog eating contest on Independence Day. And on July 1st, 2014, the network announced it had extended its agreement with Major League Eating and would broadcast the contest through 2024. Oh, wow. They're, okay. They just redid their deal in 2022. So no worries. It will be shown on ESPN through 2029.
Oh,
they got the
thank
TV
goodness.
rights.
Yeah.
Major League Eating. Oh my God.
like
They have this
ESPN
logo
8,
with a strong
the
hand.
Ocho.
Yeah. They have this hand with a fork in it. Major League Eating. Headquarters in New York City. President James Bell.
I think what it
my
is
gosh, they've really.
It's Major League Eating. You know,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
League
Mr.
Eating. Yeah.
Oh, Lee Geating.
Mhm.
Oh, I know him.
Yeah. He's a major.
Um,
You show him some respect.
So, speaking of wrongful death, or no, were we? I don't know. We were
Well, we can be, but
Did you? I know this was a few weeks ago. Did you hear about that Disney thing in the wrongful death lawsuit? Where, let's see.
Yahtzee.
Disney wants NYU doctor allergy death suit tossed because of widower's Disney Plus subscription. They're trying to say that since they subscribe to Disney Plus and there's an arbitration clause in that saying that you agree you won't sue Disney. Someone died at the park, I think, at Disney World, and then with the wrongful death suit they had like an allergic reaction and died. And so when they went to file suit, the lawyer said, "No, you can't file suit. Look, you subscribe to Disney Plus. You've entered into this non-arbitration agreement." It's like, what is? It's just the most disgusting thing.
That's fucking
I've ever
disgusting.
fucking
And
heard.
because Disney, it's like you guys could just like really be kind of like the good guys here and be like, wow, that's so horrible. Like, what can we do? Because, we're only like one of the biggest companies in the fucking world. So we could probably help out a little bit with, smoothing things over with literally like no skin off our back at all. It doesn't even matter. Giving, I don't know what Disney's net worth is right now, but I'm going to say it's a lot. It's a lot. And if someone dies at their park, I wonder if they, it's like, someone's like dead and they did die at your park. So just like look like the good guys when you
can spend $50,000 to help.
You could spend.
It's like it's fine.
You have
You
lawyers
spend
on
$100,000.
retainer that aren't doing shit for way more than that every year.
Doing shit except for this disgusting shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 2023 Disney revenue $88.9 billion US dollars. Such an extraordinary number.
Yeah.
So I know that we're a few minutes in, but how was your weekend? How was your week? What's going on? What's new with you?
Well,
although I was gonna say, well, we need to catch up. As like I saw you 2 days ago.
Yeah, I
But
was gonna say I saw you a
but it
couple
was
days
nice
ago.
seeing ya.
Yeah, and saying goodbye
Mhm.
to the house. You know,
A home.
our parents are. Well, that's what the thing was. It's like home is the feeling you get when you're there. It's not the place necessarily, but it is a very special place.
Yeah.
You know, I think we mentioned before.
That's why I was thinking.
Yeah.
It's like I'm saying goodbye to a house. Our stepmom was saying goodbye to a home.
Yeah, her
Like,
home for like
oh man, she
40
was
years.
pretty-
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
a lot of good memories there, and a lot of bad memories there. Yeah, I mean, just like like
Literally
lives.
though, right?
Yeah.
40 years.
Yeah, like
probably,
over 40 years.
over 40.
And just been a lot of life that's happened there. You know, like saying,
Mhm.
I think at least 5 weddings have been there.
My wedding.
Including your wedding, and all of her sons were married there, and not to each other, but
All of her sons got married there.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest ceremony I've
we're a
ever
very
been to.
open-minded family, you know, and so
Yeah, they had to do something because that youngest son.
He is cold, hollow, and
Yeah.
violent.
Okay,
we didn't know what
he
was
was
going to
throwing
happen
an
with him.
old drop.
Yeah. So that was it feels very strange. It's like been a big constant in my life, especially. I lived there when I was like, working at the nuclear plants and having time off in between. I spent a couple months there, like with no job, just like hanging out with them, hanging out in the pool, going out on
Very
the
short
boat.
time that I
Yeah.
lived there was very not nice. Oh man, it was a bad time in my life.
Oh,
The only
yeah.
memory I had, because I lived there for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
it was
say
like,
I
in
don't
between
even really
places,
remember it.
me being very rude to my father. One of the worst memories I ever had. Just when you're getting through your early 20s and finally realizing like what it's like being an adult and all the things that your parent may have done for you, if you have a good parent like we
Sure.
do. And it's just like looking back on it and be like, how do you still speak to me? And having a child of my own, it's like, well, I get it. There's so much that my child could do. I would always speak to them. There's something
Because also
something-
you'd
they're
know that
family,
you'd be like, well, it's probably
different.
partially my fault because I raised you.
Well,
So
yeah, no, that's it. That's
I should
what's,
probably take some responsibility for this person that you've become in some ways, because like people have personal choices, but also it's like, hey, I wasn't just come out of like a vacuum somewhere. Like maybe you have so much responsibility
that's
in
the
this,
abortion.
Dad. No,
No, that's funny. That's one of the things. That's what finally would end up getting to me. Is that through all the trials and tribulations and all the things that I've put our family through myself, it's like that has been when there's deep emotional and important talks like with Dad. That's one thing that gets to me is his feeling of responsibility for
Good.
it in different ways. No, I know, but it's just like, oh, that's right. And it's like just knowing that someone feels that way, that actually accepts that, goes so far in actually keeping like a connection real and keeping that connection solid. Because even if things are bad, you know that the other person
feels like shit too.
accepts.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in
Kinda.
a way, and it's like, and that makes me feel more for the other person. We both actually empathize for each other because of our shared responsibility in whatever drama or trauma, may be going on.
I would
So-
say a lot of people that don't talk to like their parents have parents that would not, admit to those kinds of feelings, would be like, I couldn't have done
I know
anything
people like that.
different. Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing. It's you, it's blah, blah, blah. If you ever
Yep.
tried to...
It's called narcissism.
Yeah, there's things that, you could say to, like Dad as an example, and he would be like, oh, like it would maybe hurt it to find out you felt a certain way about something that had happened. And, everybody is, being defensive is okay.
Everybody's
because
got a hungry heart.
everybody
Yep.
can be defensive every once in a while, but like
Sure.
coming from that and being like, yeah, you're right about whatever.
Gumming.
Gumming for that.
Glumming,
But some people just really, they just will always be the victim. They'll never admit that any of it was, they could have done anything different. They share no responsibility whatsoever. They don't really care about your feelings. And definitely not our parents, for sure. And that's definitely a gift, because I do know people who don't speak to their parents because they hold that exact kind of attitude.
Oh,
that it's
man.
like,
there's so many things, like and talking about, like, being, I don't know, having gratitude, or just making sure to recognize your place in life, and your privileges. I mean, some of it's not like privilege as much as the luck that you had from being born to the people you were born to, when it happened, and all that put you where you are. It's like, I'm so lucky that there's so many, even more than many other family situations and stuff, so many times that it could have gone so much worse and gone off the rails and gone wrong. I mean, divorced and back and forth, and I mean, it's just funny the difference between our two parents, and like the households, and the people that they are, and the living situation, and the incomes, and I mean, all the things that could have gone so much worse.
And I see it with divorced parents. I'm like, man, our parents did a really, really, really good job of being, I would say, for the most part, about each other, very mature. Like, really did not.
Oh, yeah.
When we were growing up, like, did not talk bad about each other.
Mm-mm.
Like, they just
Ever.
didn't. Not to us. I'm sure that they
shocked me
Yeah.
when it finally happened, just in a moment of candor when I was like 20.
Yeah, since then,
Dad
had
like
conversations,
complaining about something. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, damn.
Probably do have some, like,
to think that
feelings,
it got glossed over. How much you guys probably like kind of hate each other.
I mean, and especially like why people get divorced when they have 3 kids and like a house together and a home and a life and all that kind of stuff. It's like the worst kind of breakup you could possibly imagine, especially under some circumstances. Some people could really be getting their feelings hurt, rightfully, of course, and feeling very blah, 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 and how they really, 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 really put us first, like, in those kinds of things. Like, really were, like, I mean, when we were in trouble, which I was in trouble kind of often in high school, they'd come and sit at the table together at, like, mom's house or whatever, having a conversation, like, co-parenting as divorced parents. I find that to be, like, really, really mature. Like,
that's why, as a divorced man, there's so much, and I'm so glad with that, because it taught me to recognize some things, and we have a very good divorced co-parenting relationship for sure. Like, I'm so lucky, and it's funny, like, being it can just look like being emotionally cucked. And this, I'm like, nope, I'm so happy that this is the way it is. It's like, what? She fucking left you.
It's like,
but it's like, nope, it worked out
could have been,
so well.
Yeah.
Could all have been so much worse. So much worse.
Definitely.
So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's only because I got the house instead of that bit. No. But yeah, no, it all worked out really well, and now the house is burned down. So
I guess you got what was coming to you. Yeah.
This is funny. Am I the asshole for postponing our wedding because my fiance wants to have pictures of her late husband in it? Ooh, boy.
I think that's,
She said she wants her late husband's picture at the wedding. She went into more detail at my request. She wants one of the bridesmaids to hold his picture during the ceremony, as well as having his pic on our table. And when taking pics, she wants to hold him in most pictures. I told her I didn't want that, and while I understand he's important to her, I'd feel uncomfortable with his pictures in our wedding, especially when they're so prominent. We got into a fight, and she yelled, I can't believe you're jealous. He's fucking dead. What, do you think I'm gonna fuck him at our wedding? I decided to postpone the wedding, and honestly, I'm thinking of calling it off altogether. See? There's so many other weird situations that I could have gone through, too, so you never know.
I feel like
I got married in Vegas on a whim after getting down on one knee at a strip club, and we were married for 10 years.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's an interesting thing it's a very interesting thing to date someone who has suffered a loss like that, where I have known some people in my life too that, of course, it's like would be hard to be the person. Of course, it would be hard to lose your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your husband or your wife, of course.
Yeah.
But to be the person coming after, to be the one that's being dated by this widower or whatever, is like, talk about big shoes to fill. It's like talk about, they're like on a pedestal. They're dead, and they just could be like, we had this perfect.
And they're dead, so they cannot do any wrong.
Can't do anything wrong. They're dead. What are you going to say? That they're a piece of shit? No, you're not going to remember the bad things about them. You're going to remember every single good thing and the future you could have had together, all of this potential and all these things. So to date, I feel like that's that just sounds like someone who maybe needs a little bit of grief therapy. Yeah, like poor thing. If it's true, it's like, it sounds like a real, obviously, in my opinion, based off of the very little bit that I did, and I'm going to do some quick psychoanalyzing, that she hasn't quite gotten over it yet, where she wants to, like, cling literally to her dead husband's picture at her new wedding. Or,
just having them holding his pictures and stuff.
I could see wanting something about him being there, being like, he's such like a huge part of like who I am or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Someone that I lost that would be like more than a friend, or whatever. But, that seems a bit excessive.
Doing it that prominent?
Yeah.
Because I look at that and I'm like, oh, yeah, seems pretty creepy.
Yeah. Sounds like you're pretty into this.
Yeah. Oop,
Not good.
Not a good sign. So let's see. Today actually is Labor Day. We're doing this for you, dear listener. Laboring our laborious task of talking about interesting things before we record, and then just kind of
tripping up the stairs, as I like to say.
Right? Flopping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tripping up the stairs in the previous conversation, tripping down the stairs and crashing out the wall during the podcast. And sometimes doing it on purpose.
Suicide is badass.
So Biden says his great-grandfather was accused of... Joe. Says his great-grandfather was accused of being in a group of killer coal miners in long-winded anecdote. So just keep in mind, this is from the New York Post.
Okay.
So it already, I'm like, oh, what, like labor activists, union guys? It sounds like something that would be pretty cool.
Sounds like you're pretty into this.
Right-wing New York Post is... they're like, killing capitalists?
Stop.
That's a bad one. That isn't very good. But
what those guys would say to it is, capitalism is
Everything
bad.
Joe Biden touches turns to shit.
So
Everything.
this is funny. The way that they write it, too. Let's see. His great-grandfather was rumored to have been part of a group of coal miners... that would kill anti-Catholic mine foremen and lay the dead bodies on the doorstep of their families' homes.
Oh my God!
Vice President Kamala Harris nodded along as the 81-year-old president spun the strange yarn during his remarks to union workers in Pittsburgh, joking that he was, quote, disappointed to learn that his great-grandfather, Edward Francis Blewett, that's an awesome name, was not a member of the Molly Maguires. And let's see, I wish I just knew more stuff in general.
Yeah.
The Molly Maguires was an Irish 19th century secret society active in Ireland, Liverpool, and parts of the eastern U.S., known for their activism among Irish American and Irish immigrant coal miners in Pennsylvania. After a series of often violent conflicts, 20 suspected members of the Molly Maguires were convicted of murder and other crimes and were executed by hanging in 1877 and 78. The history remains part of local Pennsylvania lore, and the actual facts are much debated among historians.
I bet.
And then it says, see also Flogging Molly.
Yeah.
The annoying punk band. No, I used to listen to them all the time.
I know.
Let's see here. But I remember when my great-grandfather was only the second Catholic elected statewide in the state Senate here in Pennsylvania, Biden began. I remember they talked about when they'd run against him in 1906. They said, guess what? He's a Molly Maguire. Oh my gosh, the picture that they have of him. Of course, he looks insane and old.
Yeah, I bet.
He explained that, quote, back in the old days, Irish Catholics working in Pennsylvania coal mines were often mistreated by the foremen, and a group of recently arrived Irishmen known as the Molly Maguires violently retaliated against their oppressors. All sounds good.
Sounds,
of
pretty righteous, I would say.
A lot of the English owned the coal mines, and what they did was they really beat the hell out of the mostly Catholic population in the mines. Not a joke. Not a joke.
Not a joke, man. We're not messing
It's
around.
not a joke. We're not messing around here. They call him a Molly Maguire. You know? It's like Jerry Maguire after he transitioned. But there was a group they called the Molly Maguires. They would bring his body up and put him on the doorstep of his family. Kind of crude, but I gotta admit, they accused my great-grandfather of being a Molly Maguire. He wasn't, but we were so damn disappointed. And that's a funny thing, too. We're like, oh my God, how can you say that? It's like, what? It's a great-grandfather.
He's dead. Yeah.
Even putting aside the debate, the debate over historical accuracy, that, so-called ethics or whatever of killing foremen. But even putting that aside, it's like, yeah, you're disappointed when you learn that maybe some family lore or whatever just isn't true. Like you weren't part of that historic event or something. It's like, oh, I thought he was, this part of this badass secret society. It turns out he wasn't. I'm kind of disappointed
loser.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just some fucking bum.
He was just some
working
fucking
in the coal
Catholic
mines.
nobody. He was a chump.
Yeah, just
he
was a real bozo. But yeah, all the people down in the mines, they're just like they're just coughing and stuff.
These people are sick.
Nice.
I don't know. I'm really off with the soundboard today.
I like it.
But AFL-CIO President Liz Schuler's head snapped back after Biden's quip. Harris, also on stage with the president, laughed. Oh, he even said, he's like, that was a joke. That was a joke, he assured the crowd. Okay, like, how is it a joke? It's like, it's just a little anecdote about family history and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're in Pennsylvania talking about old.
Oh, are you guys triggered, right
historical
wingers? Are you triggered by that?
Oh,
like,
my
you can't
God.
take a joke? Oh, we can't even make a joke anymore. That's what I want to say.
Huh. The publication, this 2020, they corroborated this in Irish American Magazine. Who the fuck is reading that stuff? But
members of the Molly McGill or whatever
the Molly Maguires.
Molly
Remember Jerry Maguire.
McGild. No, like a guild.
Oh, the McGild of Molly's. The publication also notes that Biden told a similar anecdote about Blewett on the 2008 campaign trail with former President Barack Obama with a different punchline. I mean, it's not really a different punchline. The quote was, he went out of his way to prove that he wasn't a Molly Maguire, and we're all praying that he was. It's the same thing.
It's the same story, just with different words.
Yeah. Oh, that's different.
Yeah.
That's like,
he doesn't know what he's saying.
With a knock-knock joke anytime.
Jeez.
This Mr. Victor Nava.
Victor Nava.
But meanwhile, Trump's just going out there and he sees people covered in coal dust and he just says
The N-word.
and just gets away with it.
Ooh.
He's still the GOP nominee. You told me an interesting thing. Since, like I said, I don't know history, I don't know facts. Instead, I'm just bookmarking things from the actual names, Twitter, which I like, recorded in the U.S. Census, like from the U.S. Census 1940, Elvis Buttman. It's a pretty good one. He's one of our listeners. Shout out to Elvis Buttman Sarah Ickbottom and Don Gay Dickings.
Don Gay Dickings.
England and Wales birth registration index 1837 to 2008.
What a loser.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think you know this person from California, Princess Dyke Goodwin.
Yeah.
But instead, you were really showing up some history on my ass the other day when we were talking about where does the term redneck come from.
Well,
A recent trend of attributing it to a 1920s Union uprising in Appalachia.
I'm gonna better say it right, or I'm gonna throw an apple at you. That's how people say it.
Oh, that's
what
one way to remember it.
Alana told me that.
Oh. It misses a more complex and less sunny history, because it's always sunny in Appalachia.
It's a little bit about taking back the word, kind of, but it definitely has some union sort of history and background.
Roots.
What I remember,
Union roots.
yeah, reading about it originally was in a historical fiction book called Demon Copperhead, and it is a modern retelling of Charles Dickens' David Copperfield, which has a focus on institutional poverty and its effect particularly on children, and the story of Demon Copperhead.
Boring.
Yeah.
No,
That
sounds good.
It's very heavy. It's
Okay.
Demon Copperhead. He's a boy. His name is
oh God, now I can't remember. What's the name of the dumbass book? Hillbilly Elegy.
Yeah. God, no.
G.D. Vance.
It's really good, but it's very heavy. But that's where it takes, I take issue, or what is the word I'm looking for? People take, well, anyways, isn't there a,
yeah, right?
yes.
Oh my gosh.
What is that word?
Oh no.
I know. We're so smart. God damn it. Well, whatever the word is, it's a better one than I take issue with that. But
yes,
in the story, it talks about, it's like the poor kid from Appalachia, and he's like and it talks about OxyContin. It's like it's set in the 90s when like OxyContin is becoming a thing, and blah blah blah. His community is like one of the ones that's targeted, and they talk about the representations of people from his, like where he's from, as being just
take exception.
Yes, I take exception. Yeah,
okay.
With that, that they're just dumb racists and rednecks and whatever. And then it's like, well, you go back far enough, and Civil War, and some of these guys like fighting on different sides. It's like mostly poor people. They're definitely not.
Oh yeah,
slave owning,
I remember
and then
you
like
when
later
you were reading this.
Then like later with union rights, like these coal miners, like the mine wars that were like happening. They was kind of like about taking back this redneck sort of thing with wearing these red bandanas as like a sign.
Red bandanas.
But in that book, Demon Copperhead, it's like the main character, he makes like a comic book where the hero is like a hillbilly, and like some good portrayal of people from these communities, where he's like really, in that book, something that really stuck out to me, he goes to like the city, and he was like, no, these people are poor. There's people living on the streets that don't even have a shirt on their back. You would never find someone like that in his small rural town. No one would let you live your life shirtless or out on the streets, like sleeping on the pavement. You'd always have a cousin or a friend, or, you'd have like a small, poor community, where people are kind of taking care of each other. You go to the city, he's like, city poor was like nothing he'd ever seen before. Like poor people.
Yeah,
like
true.
with nothing. and like sleeping
Yeah, 'cause
literally
you
in the
don't
streets.
have that community.
Yeah. So that was
Right.
the portrayal of that. I think she has a lot of her books, Barbara Kingsolver, her books are set like in that area. She has like an obvious love for Appalachia and the people that live there. But anyways, so
Meanwhile,
that's where I learned about it.
out rural, they're just all just like,
I'm just an ordinary blue-collar slob, but I know what I likes on TV.
yeah. So, I mean, all this Slate article that you sent me, it was actually kind of coming from Jad Abumrad on Dolly Parton's America, and this, an episode of, gosh, is that from that? Or I guess that episode of that show was on WNYC. Shout out to all you NPR listeners out there.
Humby was featured on
know
NPR.
How it really
just so
goes.
Boring.
we know,
Oh, really? On
part of-
NWPB
part
or what?
of their
What's going
speech was just played a clip of it on what is the one in Seattle, KEXP or KPY? I forget what the.
on? Oh, KPYW.
I don't remember what it is because I don't
Something
ever
like
listen to the
that.
radio. But I'm like, that's so awesome, babe. So,
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
It's like no matter how the national coverage can be, a little, I don't know, a little bit in their whole being objective thing, which they are probably still the best like American news source in terms of being objective, but they do fall into that centrist trap of just leaning towards this status quo liberalism that I don't know. It is what it is, but they're always a good source, and I like it. I don't care.
Sure.
These online leftists that
I've
listen
given
to
to-
this show.
I've given to
They're like,
NPR.
I only listen to old Zizek film analysis and the Inane Blather podcast. To, is where I
Yeah, I'm
get
sure that
my
keeps you really
news.
up to date. I've given to
we're
NPR for a
talking
long
about,
time, like $5 a
Willie
month. Yeah,
Willie Greaser from the United States Census in 1900.
yeah.
Oh, and I was thinking, it's funny. Then I just kind of opened this because I had that bookmarked. One of these names, Don Gay Dickings or something.
Oh, yeah.
But oh my God, Virginia Marriage Registry, 1785 to 1940. Mother named R. Crumfucker. Oh no!
Wow.
Now
Now
and I
that
think we've gone
that
over on the
there's a
show
name.
before that it's actually a myth that people had their names changed at Ellis Island, that people were changing it on the registry to make it easier and stuff like that. And I think it's funny too. I think Cumtown was talking about it. They're like, how is that, if you're accepting that, like, how did these Polish people get in with the with these last names? It's nothing.
There's not even a
like what it was.
like a
All the
vowel
name
in it.
changes
Yeah.
happened, voluntarily by people after they did it to fit in or whatever it might be,
Yeah,
or to
totally.
get away from their previous family. But our great grandfather
Great.
immigrated from Wales
It's true.
to Pennsylvania.
He worked in the
and
coal mines.
where he worked in the coal mines, yeah. But luckily for him, he ingratiated himself to those foremen by doing this thing called not being a Catholic.
Yeah, it was like killing
you know?
Catholics. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was fine. He's like, you guys do what you're going to do. I'm just a
I'm just a
short, stubby little
12-year-old
Welsh
boy,
man."
so I can't do much. And legitimately, in
Oh,
Wales,
he was that young, was he?
in Wales, he started coal mining when he was 11 years
Oh.
old. He eventually
Man.
he came to the United States. I don't know how old he was, but he was like 26 when he finally stopped. So he'd been already a long career as a coal miner. By the time he was 26, he'd already been working like 15 years.
Wow.
And then was like, I'm out of here. And so then he got a job on the railroad and got hurt. Maybe, I don't know if he got shot, if he got something happened to him. He got like really badly injured, and he was recuperating in a boarding house in the Midwest, and he met this lovely nurse from Sweden who who nursed him back to health, literally. And that is our great grandmother. And then they moved to
And
Montana,
that's
came
that.
to Washington, and all that kind of crap. So yeah,
Mhm.
so he was Yeah.
Also, they were billionaires, by the way.
Yeah, that's why he worked in
we
the
have,
coal
This
mines.
podcast.
When I said he worked in the
Yeah.
coal mines, he was the owner-operator kind of guy.
Yeah,
situation.
worked in.
Yeah.
Quote unquote. So anyway, let's see. So in the NYC thing, and they had to add clarifying narration and post an editor's note in response to Slate's inquiries when they're doing research for this article, I guess. But Abumrad, good old Jad Abumrad, seems to cut away from the interview to a summarizing comment, quote, and the kicker is, the people marching that day wore red bandanas around their necks, which is why they were known as rednecks. That's where the term came from, unquote. In what seems to be a cutback to the interview, Kat says, yes, yeah. The producer, Shima Oliai, sorry, Shima.
Yeah.
I thought it was about sunburn. And then they move on to discuss the origins of the word hillbilly. So they just kind of move on from that. And it was kind of cut just to say, but I guess this is really maybe much more disputed than that. The writer in Slate says, I too was confused to hear this new version of an old bit of folk wisdom and went to check up on it. And it's funny, the Oxford English Dictionary finds derogatory uses for redneck when defined as a, quote, poorly educated white person working as an agricultural laborer or from a rural area in the southern United States, typically considered as holding bigoted or reactionary attitudes much earlier than 1921.
Like in the 1800s.
Yeah, exactly. Back to 1891. Let's see. And even they talked to the person in the episode, said, did you hear it? What do you think about the way that the editing happened right there? And she said, she said she hadn't even had a chance to listen to it yet, but she wrote, it was not my intention to claim the mine wars as the origin of the term, but instead to periodize its transformation from a more generic epithet to something specific to group identity and union membership. So kind of like, we're taking that name, like, yes, we are
We're
rednecks,
rednecks.
and we're going to wear the red bandana, and that's, kind of
And it crossed...
to change that term, be like, yes, we're self-describing as this. That's kind of interesting.
And it was like across all like racial barriers and all these kinds of things. Like it was like a union sort of strong, like solidarity for your workers' rights sort of thing at that time, I believe.
Ooh. Well, let's see. She pointed me to a 2006 article by historian Patrick Huber in the journal Western Folklore.
Folklore, if you're coming in.
Who's reading this?
Yeah.
That she said formed the basis for her own interpretation. Huber's argument that redneck in the 1910s through the 1930s sometimes meant communist, or at least, quote, a miner who was a member of a labor union, unquote, especially one on strike.
A communist or
made
a
it clear,
labor union member.
That's
so funny.
There's those links there. But describing this much better than I just kind of did, that this usage was a strategic reclamation of a word that had been used as a slur. Some union... this is me reading right now. Some union organizers, Huber found, used red bandanas in the term redneck as a way to culturally integrate groups of white, black, and immigrant miners. Nice job, Natalie. Who are often set against each other by owners eager to divide labor's power into a single identity. Because miners often wore red handkerchiefs to protect their faces and necks from coal dust, the bandana was a symbol of labor that was universal among ethnicities and races.
Nice.
Man,
right?
imagine even just that idea in the 1920s. Like you allude to often, people are good often, you know? Groups of people can really do good. That's kind of the whole point here, right?
Oh my gosh.
Unions, communism, community, stuff like that. It's like groups of people that's why democracy
Simply
does work in many cases.
And that's why capitalism's so
because
icky, is because you're looking out for yourself. That's why it's
Capitalism is
exactly. Thank
yeah,
you, Ben.
yeah, and you're looking not just for yourself, which that whole invisible hand of the free market, whatever, can be. It's some of the ways that capitalism can work to better things, not just for yourself, but to extract things for yourself from
others.
other people. Yeah, it's extraction of value. That's the problem. Ooh, well, here we can kind of finish up after a bit on this, but here is a part of a Union song collected by industrial folklorist. Here it is, folklorist George Corson.
Oh my gosh, Courtney Portnoy's folklorist George Porson. Yeah,
Exactly. Which dates to 1927. Rednecks keep them scabs away.
Yeah.
Rednecks fight them every day. Now, any old time you see a scab passing by, now don't hesitate. Blacken both of his eyes.
wow. Ooh.
Nice.
And then you have, man, look at these union guys. And then there's old Donald Trump talking to Elon Musk about, you fire those people when they do, in like his interview that he was all like
God.
getting investigated now because it's like, you can't do that,
Yeah, literally just committing
Labor law
Act
violations.
Yeah. Like, good God.
And then come up against one of these original union men. You have two black eyes, you little chicken shit, chicken skin bitches over here.
Yeah, chicken-skinned Elon Musk. And it's like, I don't want to body shame unless you're a billionaire. Because,
that's what
Curtis
Connor
it's going to be
said.
very apparent when we gut you and hang you. No, I'm just kidding.
I got you like a fish.
We blacken. Yeah. Let's see. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. And, oh, yeah. You know
what?
Things are getting the discourse, not Twitter, like the national discourse around immigration is really starting to fucking piss me off. That's all I'm going to say.
Because it's
That's one of
disgusting and racist?
I mean, I'm not the most radical person and whatever. I just, there's a lot that I enjoy discussing or things that I think could go better. But I'm not firebombing a Walmart, I just steal from them. Who cares? But
it's way easier.
It's like, yeah.
And then I don't have to go somewhere else to go shopping.
I don't have stuff there that I can
Exactly.
steal. So, although, man, I went to Albertsons to do some grocery shopping today, and they had boneless, skinless chicken thighs on sale for $1.99 a pound. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, so I bought the rest of them. We're in there. I was like, these are going in the freezer.
Nice. That's what you got to do.
Everyone who listens needs to come over to my apartment so I can barbecue some chicken for them. And
especially that guy
I just
who hates
got
us.
a smoker today because Dad needed to store it somewhere. He said, you can keep it, you can figure it out and use it as much as you want until I take it back when
Next
the house
year.
is done or something. So, yeah, exactly. So, anyway. So
immigration?
What was I saying? Oh, yeah. How did I get on?
You're not
Walmart?
firebombing.
I'm not
Walmart.
because I'm not a bomb thrower. But like, I don't know. I'm pretty quote unquote far left when it comes to my opinions on immigration in this country. I think it's ridiculous and dehumanizing, disgusting. The baseline of like civil discourse in this country about immigration, like. It's like, these are all people, and all of the effort that goes into the constant propaganda, anti-immigrant propaganda that lowers this whole baseline is like infuriating to me. I mean, it just that, not only, you can go into the national politics thing and like, the Biden administration and Kamala's platform on immigration, which just makes me want to fucking throw up.
Puke.
But or the creation of ICE at all in the Department of Homeland Security. But it's just like, how is it not? I mean, how are we not moving forward on this? How are we not progressing as a country? We've been regressing for so long. How did this change happen in 4 years, even with decently, even just somewhat progressive debates about immigration in 2020 to just being like a military police state when it comes to that?
Mass
and how easily
deportations,
people fall for this bullshit about like the people coming across the border. Even if there were 10 million more people coming across the border, like, to me, it's like, yeah, there's a bunch of good human beings coming here to live. Shut the fuck up. Like, it's just not a thing that because they were born somewhere else, they are
unworthy.
Yeah, that they're more prone to
violence,
antisocial behavior.
It's
like,
fucking racist.
Makes me sick.
It's so incredibly racist.
Yes, it's all just. But I mean, it's just like, yeah, you could talk it through and be like, yeah, it's all rooted in racism, and it's like, why isn't that just? We all know that. Like, why aren't the right-wingers the ones that are like, well, you can't call me racist for this, and we all just know that they're racist for that? No, it's like across the board, unless you're considered far left in this country, to be like, just being anti-immigrant in general at all is just racist. It really is. And I mean... Oh my gosh, drives me crazy. Oh, I wanted to end.
I was just gonna say, I agree. I am a radical. I'm like, I'm one of those dumb bitches. I'm like, everybody in the world can get along, and all these borders and all this shit. I feel like we should be going for less borders. Like, I feel like if you live here, I don't care your citizenship status. If you live here, you should get a vote. All those kinds of things. I definitely believe that. But what I think, a lot of these ways that these no matter who you are, I would say especially right-wingers are so crazy anti-immigration. It just feels like good to know that if you were in some horrible situation, you just like...
He died in,
Whoops. Oh, sorry. My pinky.
If you were in some horrible situation or whatever, and blah, 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 you wanted a better life, you just wouldn't do shit for your kids. You wouldn't do anything. You would just sit and you would just You would just be there. You would just be part of this. You wouldn't want more for yourself. You're just like some...
It would be the opposite. You'd be really patriotic and nationalist about it because that's where you were born.
Yeah.
Right.
And someone else was saying, all of the most destitutely poor people are still in their country. They can't afford to come to the United States at all. Like, it's even a privilege to be able to do that.
You just have to deal with the horrible stuff that the other people are escaping.
Yeah, and what it means, it's so you wouldn't, if something was going on in the United States and there was something better going on in Canada or Mexico right across the border, you wouldn't do everything in your power to make sure that your kids had a better life? Fuck you. You're gross. I don't, and also, I don't believe that. I don't believe that you wouldn't do that, you dumbass. Yeah. You would be one of those illegal immigrants if you had to, Their words, illegal immigrants. I'm saying, these are people.
Yeah, you say illegal aliens.
Yeah, I say
in
those
normal
people.
Conversation is what I always hear.
Say people coming across wanting to do whatever.
But then you're always just saying
the N-word.
But, you never say it on the show, but I'll just let people know. Natalie is constantly saying
the N-word
and reminding me that
people have to flush their toilet 15 times
because of those immigrants.
Yeah,
they've been known to.
Okay, well let's call it there. Just remember, folks, the King of Hearts is the only king without a mustache. Keep that in mind.
Don't forget it. There will be a test.
Yeah, exactly. You know why?
Thanks a lot, Puritans.
No, but,
that's an old one. Yeah, nice.
But where's my... Oh, shout out to Aaron Brown.
That was a really nice one. Thanks, Inane Blather.
You're welcome. Everyone become a patron.
Humby.
Aaron Brown. 2 bones.
For as little as
bones a
2
month.
putrid little dollars, you know.
You can hear all of the amazing work from his in-house journalist, LaDron James.
LeDron James. He said he was going to take him to a nice restaurant if the numbers were good, but...
Yeah, exactly. And LaDron, he's always just hanging around like restaurants or in the lobbies getting continental breakfast at all of these events like the Democratic and Republican National Convention, checking out the Dunkin' Donuts, doing really important work over there at Patreon. But no, but really, tell people about our show. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of you, Natalie.
Sick of us not having listeners? What do you want, listeners?
Death penalty. It's immediate death penalty.
No, I'm just kidding. Don't tell anyone about our show. It's embarrassing.
I know.
I love you.
I love you too.
Happy late birthday to Allison.
And happy Labor Day, everyone.
Yeah.
Humby, we love you.
And get out your red handkerchiefs.
You little redneck.
Firebomb a Walmart.
Hell yeah.
It's just not mine because that's where I
steal stuff.
No, it'll be real nice to be able to loot it afterwards. No.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I will update everyone on my house next week because finally I think things will be happening. So we'll see what's going on with that. One thing that I completely forgot to bring up at the beginning of the show that I've been meaning to say is something from my manifesto of petty grievances. I'll just say my microwave doesn't have numbers on it. All right? I'll leave it at that.
It's got a dial or some bullshit. Like some
It's
dumb...
got a dial. Okay, but...
I was exposed as doing a giant fraud.
Yeah, that's what the microwave company...
That's the microwave that... Yeah.
How do I possibly figure out this impossible riddle? Thank you, life, you asshole.
By life, I mean GE or whatever.
Shout out to Humby and Mia and
Kelsey
Mindy and
Zach
Kelsey.
and Emily and some other... And that one guy, maybe he's still listening. Maybe he's...
And that one guy's... You are listening.
Maybe he's converted.
Dave.
Yeah.
Just throw out a name just in case.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God.
Twitter guy that hates on us. He listens
I
all
know
the
where
way
you live.
an hour through to hate listen. Like, you poor thing. Get some help.
Well, just sitting down and hate listening to podcasts that only have, 20 listeners.
This is politics.
That's the way that it goes. So, okay, I love you.
Ugh. Bye.
Bye.